The arrest of 2 people, including the leader of a neo-Nazi group who were allegedly planning to blow up the power grid in Baltimore, has shaken up the American public. The FBI says that informants prevented the plot that would have left Maryland residents without electricity from being carried out.
The accused were not just talking, but taking steps to fulfill their threats and further their extremist goals. Russell provided instructions and location information. He described attacking the power transformers as the greatest thing somebody can do. In her own words, Clendaniel said she was determined to do this. She added, "It would lay this city to waste." Their actions threaten the electricity and heat of our homes, hospitals, and businesses. The FBI views them as racially or ethnically motivated extremists.
Now, there are some important details about the ideology that those detained profess that are being glossed over by U.S. mainstream media. Namely, that the ideological leader of this neo-Nazi group is a big supporter of Ukraine, in particular the Azov battalion there. Mainstream U.S. media outlet Newsweek couldn't even obscure this and had to acknowledge the links.
We interviewed members of a white supremacy group called the Atomwaffen Division, who has sent members to train in Ukraine, where neo-Nazi militias have recruited white supremacists from around the world to join their fight against Russia and advance racist ideology.
The Atomwaffen Division thinks there is no hope for reform. They argue that America and the West need to fully collapse in order to bring everything back into balance and let the racialist utopia they envision come into being. The group and its manifesto, a book called Siege, have been the inspiration for a number of different terrorist attacks. Essentially, the goal is that with this violence, they can inflame tensions and pave the way for the big collapse. Now, groups like Atomwaffen and their ties to Ukraine are nothing new. In fact, one white supremacist who calls himself Boneface even says that the CIA sent him to Ukraine to establish ties with ultranationalist Maidan groups. Since 2014, links between American neo-Nazis and Kiev fascists have been deepening.
In case the world wonders what happened to all the real skinheads, they all went to Ukraine.
Those who monitor extremism around the world have noticed that Kiev is turning into a kind of mecca for white nationalists, including, and most especially, the very violence-obsessed wing of them.
These networks share approaches to recruitment, financing, and propaganda, with Ukraine emerging as a hub in the broader network of transnational white supremacy extremism, attracting foreign recruits from all over the world. Recent research shows that around 17,000 foreigners from 50 countries, including the United States, have gone to fight in that conflict. Many fighters, particularly from Western countries, have taken advantage of the conflict in Ukraine to expand the global white supremacy extremist movement.
Not only are American Nazis involved, but Nazis from New Zealand have also been caught up in this. And at this point, we have Time magazine talking about how the Azov battalion has a network of supporters that stretches across 3 continents. An extremist with ties to the Azov battalion recently got arrested in Italy for planning attacks that would have killed civilians.
5 people were arrested. Some members would travel abroad to be trained by ultranationalist military groups. One of the members of the order is a fugitive in Ukraine, where he had contact with the Azov battalion engaging in the war and more.
Remember how the United States had special stipulations in its spending bills for Ukraine, saying that no money could be allocated to the neo-Nazi Azov battalion? But you'll notice that the U.S. media has turned a blind eye to the presence of Nazi forces in Ukraine. The Nazi SS symbol keeps turning up in media reports. Now, since January 6th, there has been a lot of talk among American politicians about extremism and the danger of violence. Well, maybe it doesn't help that the U.S. government is arming and training such forces and sending them stockpiles of weapons in Ukraine. Who's to say their hateful ideology will stay in Ukraine? And who's to say that their guns and bombs will only ever be pointed at Russia? What goes around comes around, and many Americans are concerned about their safety. Caleb Maupin, RT, New York.